Bonjour tout le monde. Bon été, bonne fin d'été. Mais qu'est-ce qui a changé? Après les élections partielles à Toronto, on a les adjoints de Justin Trudeau.
We now have Justin Trudeau's assistants who called the media to say that after Torontonians rejected the inflationist and costly record of Justin Trudeau.
Et le coût de logement et forcé 2 millions de Canadiens d'aller aux banques alimentaires, qu'il allait y avoir un grand remaniement, que M. Trudeau allait congédier sa ministre des Finances incompétente pour la remplacer avec Mark Carney ou quelqu'un d'autre capable de faire fonctionner une calculatrice, qu'ils allaient renverser leur direction coûteuse et désastreuse à notre économie. Qu'est-ce qu'on a appris aux grandes retraites du cabinet libéral il y a quelques jours? Que rien ne va changer. Que l'ego, l'arrogance et l'incompétence de Justin Trudeau forcent le premier ministre de mettre son intérêt personnel avant les vies quotidiennes des Canadiennes et des Canadiens. C'est plus important de Justin Trudeau de garder le pouvoir que de permettre les mères monoparentales de s'offrir de bonne nourriture pour leurs enfants ou à la jeune génération d'avoir accès à la propriété ou des aînés de pouvoir rester dans leur maison. La réalité, c'est qu'on ne peut pas continuer comme ça. Justin Trudeau a doublé la dette nationale, il a doublé le coût de logement, il a libéré les criminels dans les rues. Il ne va jamais quitter le poste. Il doit être congédié. Il y a 2 personnes qui peuvent le faire. Yves-François Blanchet, qui a voté 188 fois pour garder Justin Trudeau au pouvoir dans les votes de confiance, et Jagmeet Singh. Mon message aujourd'hui, c'est pour le Bloc et les néo-démocrates. C'est le temps d'arrêter de supporter Justin Trudeau et de voter non-confiance pour déclencher des élections sur des taxes et des impôts, où les Canadiens auront un choix entre le Bloc libéral, qui taxe la nourriture, punit le travail, enlève votre argent, double le coût de logement et libère des criminels dans les rues, ou bien des conservateurs de gros bon sens qui vont couper taxes et impôts, bâtir des logements, réparer le budget et stopper les crimes. C'est ça le choix qu'il nous faut maintenant. Les Canadiens ne peuvent plus payer le prix de Justin Trudeau, les néo-démocrates et le Bloc. Ils ont besoin d'un gouvernement qui respecte l'argent des contribuables, qui est compétent et qui va bien gérer leur pays. Et c'est ce que nous allons faire. Un parti de gros bon sens qui va couper des taxes et impôts pour rendre le travail encore payant. Enlever les taxes sur les petites entreprises pour créer des vrais emplois. Enlever des taxes sur nos fermiers pour produire une nourriture abordable. Geler les dépenses avec une loi de gros bon sens qui va réduire le coût de logement et le coût de l'inflation. Inciter des municipalités d'enlever la bureaucratie pour bâtir des logements abordables et protéger les emplois en annulant le décret sur le secteur forestier. M. Blanchet a dit qu'on ne peut pas attendre une autre année pour annuler le décret sur le caribou. Et je suis d'accord. C'est pour ça qu'il faut défaire le gouvernement libéral pour que je puisse le faire maintenant. Encore plus, il faut protéger nos rues avec une politique de sécurité qui mette des vrais criminels en prison, tout en protégeant le droit des chasseurs et tireurs sportifs de garder leur propriété avec une bonne formation et avec des permis légitimes. Il faut rebâtir notre militaire et le respect pour le Canada sur la scène mondiale. Pour un résumé, il faut le gros bon sens encore. Il nous faut une élection sur les taxes et les impôts dès maintenant. Et je revendique au Bloc et aux néo-démocrates de retirer leur support pour Justin Trudeau pour déclencher cette élection et donner le choix aux Canadiens à travers le pays. C'est ça le gros bon sens. Thank you very much, and now in English. Welcome back, everybody. Happy end of summer. But really, what's there to be happy about after Justin Trudeau's recent cabinet retreat? What changed? Remember at the beginning of the summer, after the people of St. Paul's voted against Justin Trudeau's proposed 61-cent a litre carbon tax, voted against him doubling housing costs and driving 2 million people to the food bank, voted against the crime and chaos he has caused, all the PMO staffers called you in the media and said there would be heads rolling, that they would fire ministers. They called the Globe and Mail and said incompetent and discredited Chrystia Freeland would lose her job to Mark Carney, or at least to someone who knew how to work a calculator. And then that there would be other changes. Maybe even the Prime Minister would step aside to make way and to try and bury the disastrous NDP Liberal record and put a fresh coat of paint on the broken down Liberal car. Well, what did we learn at this expensive Liberal retreat in Halifax? We learned that nothing will change. That Chrystia Freeland, who's been Canada's worst ever finance minister, helping to double our national debt and drive inflation to its worst in 4 decades, will stay in her job. Sean Fraser, who destroyed what was the best immigration system in the world, will stay in his job. The crazy carbon tax minister, Stéphane Guilbeault, who wants to ban trucks, roads, and plastic straws while Liberals legalize crack and heroin, he's going to keep his job as well. The disastrous justice minister, who's helped give Canada a 50% increase in violent crime and a 120% increase in gun crime, he will keep his job. But most important of all, Justin Trudeau, the man who is not worth the cost, announced that he will too will keep his job. Canadians cannot afford another painful, costly, chaotic, and corrupt year of Justin Trudeau. He will not quit. He must be fired. His ego, arrogance, and incompetence will always have him putting himself ahead of Canadians. He would rather Justin Trudeau would rather force an entire generation to go without homes, 2 million people to go to food banks, 25% of kids to go to school hungry. That he would rather that continue to be the case than to give up power. He will not quit. He must be fired. And the person to do it is Jagmeet Singh. Singh sold out workers to sign on to this costly coalition. He has voted to hike the carbon tax to 61 cents a litre, for policies to double housing costs, and to tax food. Now, why did he do it? He told us that if he became part of the government, he'd bring down food prices. That was one of his promises. Did he succeed? Well, you don't actually have to ask me if he succeeded. Ask him. This is what he said about food prices last week. When you go into the grocery store and you're buying your groceries, you're spending more than ever before, and you're leaving with less than ever before. Again, that is after 2 years of Jagmeet Singh joining the Liberal government. So what's clear is that Singh did not join to bring down grocery prices or housing costs, both of which have skyrocketed since he joined this coalition. He joined to keep Trudeau in power so that he could get his pension. Jagmeet Singh is trying to delay the election until after February of next year so that he can qualify for a $2.2 million taxpayer-funded pension. That's why Canadians are calling him Sell Out Singh. My message to Sell Out Singh is this: put the people ahead of your pension. Break the costly coalition with Trudeau to trigger a carbon tax election where Canadians can choose between the costly coalition of the NDP Liberals that tax your food, punish your work, take your money, double your housing cost, and unleash crime and chaos in your community, or common sense Conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime to bring it home for our country. We'll bring home lower prices by getting rid of the carbon tax, which will not only lower the cost for farmers and truckers to bring us food, or for Canadians to heat their homes or gas their cars, but will unleash $25 billion more of GDP every single year, according to Finance Department publications from this Liberal government. We'll enact a bring-it-home tax cut to make our taxes simpler, lower, and fairer. The goal is to bring home more powerful paychecks and production to this country. We'll get rid of the government gatekeepers to allow us to produce our clean Canadian natural gas, our vital minerals, our oil, our forestry products, and to bring home production to this country. We'll get rid of the gatekeepers by allowing our brilliant immigrants to take a Blue Seal exam and get working in their professions so we have more doctors and nurses. We will get rid of the government gatekeepers to build the homes. We will require local municipalities speed up permits, free up land, and cut development taxes as a condition of getting federal funds to build 15% more homes per year. We'll sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of federal land to build, 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 build. We'll cut taxes on home building. We'll back the trades because we need the boots and not suits in order to build those homes. We will build those homes in safe neighborhoods with jail and not bail for repeat violent offenders, with treatment, not decriminalized and subsidized hard drugs, and by securing our borders to keep criminals, terrorists, drugs, and guns out while we bring, and at the same time, we will ensure that our stolen cars do not leave our ports as they do right now. We will get that money by canceling the ridiculous gun grab and respecting the rights of our law-abiding, licensed, trained, and tested hunters and sport shooters. We will also secure our borders to make sure that never again do accused ISIS terrorists get into our country and become citizens of Canada, even after the existence of a video apparently showing that same terrorist mutilating a human body on a crucifix during the ISIS war of over a decade ago. These are the kinds of disastrous mistakes, radical approaches of the Liberal government that must end so that we can replace their costly incompetence with our common sense. And the result will be a country where hard work again earns a powerful paycheck and pension that buys affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods under a proud Canadian flag in the country we know and love, Canada. Let's bring it home. Well, I wouldn't have had to do that in this case. The reason that we have these strikes is because of inflation. We had last year the largest number of days lost to strike since 1986. What do we have in 1986? Inflation. Inflation leads to strikes because workers and unions have to fight to get back what they lost in purchasing power. Well, how did the inflation happen? The government doubled the debt. Justin Trudeau printed $700 billion of cash. He increased the money supply by 40%, while the real economy grew by 4%. When you add money 10 times faster than you add the stuff that money buys, then you get inflation. And that screws over workers because they live off wages. If you're a billionaire, like the people Trudeau vacations with, then you don't have to worry about inflation because your assets are inflation-proof or even inflation-positive. You get richer. It's a transfer of wealth from the have-nots to the have-yachts. And you know what? It's ironic. It's all done with Jagmeet Singh's support. He can huff and puff all he wants, but he supported the inflationary policies that destroyed the wages of working-class people, and he supports what Justin Trudeau did on the rail strike. Do you know how we know? Do you know how we know that? Do you know how we know that? No. Do you know how we know that Jagmeet supports it? Because he's still in a coalition with him. And if Jagmeet didn't support it, he would respond to my letter this afternoon and say he's pulling out of the costly coalition and he's going to vote to bring down Trudeau and cause a carbon tax election. And that's what I'm calling for him to do today. Jagmeet Singh, stop selling out the workers. Stop being sellout Singh. Put the people ahead of your pension. Vote for a carbon tax election now.
Contraceptive gratuite et l'insuline presque gratuite. Pilule, insuline, est-ce que vous allez garder ces programmes en place, oui ou non?
À ce que je sache, ces programmes n'existent pas encore. Ils font des promesses pour... excusez-moi, monsieur, est-ce que je peux répondre?
Et l'insuline.
Vous allez voir la plateforme électorale que je vais déposer dès qu'il y ait des élections. Pour l'instant, on a des promesses. On a des promesses. On a des promesses des libéraux, les bloquistes et les néo-démocrates. Que s'ils dépensent plus, un jour, il va y avoir des grands cadeaux pour tout le monde. Ils ont déjà promis, est-ce que... Non, je ne vous permets pas de m'interrompre, je vais compléter ma réponse. Ouais.
Oui ou non?
Ça n'existe pas encore. Combien de personnes ont reçu ça?
Ça existe, M.
Combien?
Allez-vous les garder, oui ou non? Garder, oui ou non?
Combien?
Garder, oui ou non? C'est vous qui répondez aux questions. Vous êtes le politicien. Oui ou non?
Combien?
Pilule, contraception. Oui ou non?
Combien?
Vous ne voulez pas répondre?
Vous ne voulez pas répondre non plus parce que...
C'est vous le politicien.
Est-ce que je peux répondre?
Allez,
je ne peux pas répondre que si vous m'interrompez.
Oui ou non?
Vous venez d'avouer que vous avez posé une fausse question. Et la raison pour laquelle vous l'avez avoué, c'est parce que quand je vous ai demandé combien de pilules sont partagées avec le monde, vous ne pouvez pas répondre parce que la réponse est probablement zéro. Si, je vais compléter ma phrase. On ne peut pas garder quelque chose qui n'existe pas. Ce n'est pas ma réponse. C'est ma réponse. Merci.
Il y a des Québécois, des Canadiens qui sont préoccupés par la nature, par la conservation des espèces. Quelle est la garantie que vous... Sur le caribou, M. Poilievre.
First of all, we have to acknowledge that Justin Trudeau has destroyed our immigration system. We had a multi-generational consensus in immigration for literally decades before Trudeau came along. Immigration was not even a controversial issue prior to Trudeau. We brought in hardworking, law-abiding citizens in numbers that our housing market, our job market, and our healthcare system could absorb. What has since happened? Trudeau and Fraser destroyed the temporary foreign worker program by telling their bureaucrats to overlook fraud, by getting rid of the rule that required that you couldn't bring in temporary foreign workers for low-wage jobs in places where there was over 6% unemployment. In other words, where there were lots of people looking for work. They destroyed the international student program by allowing rampant fraud and abuse. and increasing the numbers to levels we could not afford. And they grew the population almost 3 times as fast as the housing stock. That is entirely a decision of Justin Trudeau and the NDP Liberals. When I'm Prime Minister, the temporary foreign worker program will be used exclusively to fill jobs that Canadians cannot or do not fill, like in agriculture sectors, but never to replace Canadians or drive down wages. We will only admit international students to, if they have a way to pay their bills, a house to live in, and a real admission letter to a real educational institution. And population growth will be below the growth in jobs, housing, and healthcare. That is a common sense plan. Now let's bring it home. Sur la question des caribous, monsieur. On n'a pas besoin de détruire le secteur forestier pour respecter les lois pour la protection des espèces. On n'a pas besoin d'éliminer des centaines de kilomètres de secteur forestier afin de protéger simplement 5000 caribous. Je vous rappelle que notre secteur forestier récolte moins d'1% des arbres qui existent dans nos forêts chaque année. Ça laisse l'autre 99% des forêts pour la nature. Et j'ajouterais que le secteur forestier plante 2 arbres pour chaque arbre coupé. Certainement, on peut protéger, oui, les espèces et oui, les emplois. J'ajouterais que les ressources naturelles sont la responsabilité des provinces. Et le gouvernement du Québec a des scientifiques, des écologistes qui sont capables de déterminer une politique qui va protéger, oui, les espèces et oui, les emplois en même temps.
Do you want to see a reduction in the number of permanent residents that are admitted to Canada in the next 2 years? It's at 500,000 right now.
We have to have a smaller population growth. There's no question about it. We cannot grow the population at 3 times the rate of the housing stock, as Trudeau has been doing. We need to have a growth rate that is below the growth in housing, healthcare, and employment. If you want if you want an idea of how I would run the immigration system overall, it's the way it was run for the 30 years prior to Trudeau being Prime Minister. We had a common sense consensus between Liberals and Conservatives for 3 decades that screened people to make sure they were safe, only brought in the numbers that we could absorb into our housing, healthcare, and job market, and blocked temporary foreign workers where they were taking jobs from Canadians. That was a common sense consensus that existed before Justin Trudeau, and the radical and out-of-control NDP Liberal government destroyed our system. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup tout le monde.